Hey everyone, it's Phoenix, and I'm going to do another video to show some of the gameplay with the PhinixUI installed and configured with all the add-ons, and why it makes the game way cooler. A couple things, I am going to be using Combat Cloud in this. I usually switch between using that and the game's default combat text, so if you don't like that much on your screen, you can just go into your add-ons and uncheck Combat Cloud and then go into Settings, Gameplay, and or interface rather, and turn on the game's default combat text, which is actually really good. They added that in the last update, I think, with Thieves Guild, and it's actually pretty cool. It pops up the numbers at the target and is really non-intrusive. But I'm using Combat Cloud just because I have it color-coded, so fire damage shows up in fire color, magic damage shows up in a magic color, that kind of thing. I kind of like the way it looks as personal preference. So the general layout here, you'll see that I've got my long duration buffs up here by the minimap, and I'm actually using AUI, and I have that configured in PhinixUI now. It is out of date, but the minimap module is not. I mean, it works, so all you have to do is select Allow Out-of-Date Add-ons when you check your add-ons. And I was using Furikine's minimap, but there's some serious issues in performance, and you can't actually get rid of it. I even tried unchecking the option to preload pins if you're getting zone transition stutters, and it was still bad. My performance has gone way up since I switched to this. The only major downside is there's no border pins. I am going to post an update to AUI. I'm trying to get a hold of the authors to see if I can just put it on esoui.com, but it properly hides the minimap when you're in different subcategories. Right now their minimap has an issue where it shows while you're in a lot of these inventory categories, so that kind of sucked. But other than that, it's way smoother, and it also doesn't have an issue with the new zones. I guess Furikin's minimap has to actually program the path to every single zone manually or something, because when new zones come out, like with Thieves Guild or Dark Brotherhood, if you go into Kvatch, for example, it doesn't transition from Gold Coast to Kvatch. It just stays on the Gold Coast map. And I'm guessing that's because he has to manually plug in the texture for the subzones for every single subzone in the game. AUI doesn't have that issue, and it's also way faster, so I'm just using that for the minimap. Anyway, I've got the quest tracker here. You can see down here at the bottom right, you can see your DPS, your heals per second, and the duration of the last combat. Up here at the top left, you can see how much all the stolen items in your inventory is worth, the number of stolen items, the number of sales and launders at your fence that are left for the day, the time until your fence interactions reset, and then if you have a bounty, it'll show the amount of bounty and the time it's going to take it to run out on its own down there. Have chat integrated with a reload button, so I can just minimize and maximize chat with the push of a button, and it's got a reload UI, and if I hold down shift on that button, it'll actually clear the current chat. Some other cool things, for poisons, I've got my poison add-on here, so you can actually hotkey poisons. So you just have to put it to any of these, and you can hotkey each of these slots to favorite poisons. And whatever bar that you're on, it will actually assign the poison to that bar, and if you hit it again, it'll unequip it. It makes toggling your poisons on and off really, really simple. Instead of having to go in your inventory, you can just do it out here. I've got a poison tracking add-on. Poison tracker that shows when you have one equipped. In the inventory, it's got subcategories, so you can see just weapons, just the type of weapon. You can actually see the motif style that the weapon is in. All very cool. I've updated show motif with new icons for all the new styles, so it's got Dark Brotherhood style, it's got Thieves Guild style, it has icons for all of them. So having subcategories is really handy if you just want to see the poisons you have. It's impossible to even imagine having to sort through the standard inventory without the subcategories. So that's the basics. I'm going to go ahead and just go through the zone. Another thing, it's got destinations, so it shows you where the bosses are in zones, and after I've defeated that little circle around them will be green instead of red, and it shows where the sky shards are. If there were any lore books in here, you'd see them. And that shows up on the mini-map as well, so you can really see easily which path to take in a dungeon, so you can save time that way. It'll also track where you found treasure chests, heavy sacks, thieves' troves, objectives for Thieves Guild missions, stuff like that. When you loot stuff, it actually shows up in a loot menu over here. The default games is stuck down here at the bottom right and at a certain size. So with these add-ons, you actually you can move it around. I've moved it over to a nice spot over here because my buffs, short buffs will stack up here. The long buffs are here. Debuffs on me will show up here at the bottom edge. This is at the top edge. They'll show up here at the bottom edge. And when I have a target, when I'm actually in combat, you'll see my health, magic, and stamina bars will automatically appear. And above that, my target, my current target, will have any debuffs that I've put on them above my health bar, so I can really easily check those without taking my eye off my resources. So that's handy. And so I'm just going to go through here a little bit, and you can see that the damage for fire that's the orange, magic damage is the blue, standard damage is just white ticks. That's the one of the optional things. So I mean, you don't have to have that on. Experience gains will also show up in the list here. So as you're gaining experience, you'll actually see experience numbers stack here. As you're gaining gold, like if you're at a store and you start selling a bunch of stuff, as you can see, there's my the short duration buffs will show up there on the bottom right. As you're selling stuff at a store, if you sell like a whole bunch of things in a row, it'll tally up the total of gold and give you like a running tally in the loot lists, so you know how much gold you've actually made over the entire session. So I'm just going to keep going through here. Make my way over to the Sky Shard. I think I'm a bit over leveled for this. It kind of feels easy. I guess these guys are like at my level. So that's what it looks like with the Combat Cloud on. The heals go down, tells you when to execute. Now you can, like I said, just go into add-ons, go into Combat Cloud and uncheck it. I'll show you what the game's default combat text looks like real quick. And the way that PhinixUI works, you can just install or enable the add-ons. You can install them all and only enable certain ones. You can only install certain ones. The combat text is on. I think that might have been on already while Combat Cloud was on, and it might have been, you know, making the numbers look white. That's probably it, because I think that's why there were white numbers in there. What I was going to say is PhinixUI, if you don't install all the add-ons, if you don't like Combat Cloud, for example, you just don't install it. When you run PhinixUI, when you type /PUI, it will just configure all the ones you do. It's able to check and see which ones you do and don't have, so you don't need to worry about installing everything. But there's the game's default combat text, you know, nice, quick little numbers at the targets that they hit. This is what I usually use, honestly, and then the crits are in orange. I think they have a different color for dots. Well, they don't have a different color for dots, but I mean, it's not much information. It's just really basic and really quick, just for the sake of having it there, but that's kind of nice if you're minimalist. So probably for just average play, you might actually want that. And then you would switch to Combat Cloud just because it's, you know, lots of pretty colors, and it's kind of cool. And honestly, I like it just because I like seeing you know, poison damage. What my poison damage is doing, I can really easily see what the numbers for my poison's damage is because it's in green, you know, or disease, it's in a yellowish brown color, in a diseasey color, and you know, flame is in flame color. So here you'll see all the orange numbers. That's all flame damage, and it's a magic damage in blue. So you see most of the damage there was from that flame, and they still dots have a ... after them, which I think is kind of cool. So Combat Cloud, I really dig it, and I've set it up. I've taken a lot of time setting it up to where it looks really cool, but like I said, you don't have to install all the add-ons that are in the list. It will automatically detect which ones you have installed and just configure those, so no worries there. And so as I do stuff, you see now it's green. I've completed this dungeon. It kept track of where that chest that I just looted was, and the Sky Shard is gone. So I basically know that now I'm done in here, and I can just wander around and and finish up looting anything if you want to get cooking ingredients. That's mainly what you get out of these things. So if you don't do provisioning, I like the new poison system because you get like, well, I'm not currently. I'm apparently very unlucky, but like scribs drop a reagent for poison making that's actually really useful. Spiders drop one too, but it's not used in as cool of a poison. Um, so I like how you can actually get reagents from killing stuff now, as opposed to just gathering. Too much information there to see, but on this next enemy I find, I'll show you what a dot looks like in the combat cloud text. There's one. So see, the dots have got an actual dot 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 after them. So not only do you know what kind of damage, this magic damage is blue, but the dot 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 after them means they're ticks from a dot. So I like combat cloud because it gives you that useful information about what's doing what. You can also, you see your DPS, but if you go into your controls, you can actually set keybinds for all the add-ons. And so here's all the add-ons that I'm using. Some of them, most of them are from PhinixUI setup. But if you go into Foundry Tactical Combat, you set a keybind for Display Damage Report. Okay, and then what you do is when you hit that button, it'll toggle this window, and you can actually go into specific enemies if you fought multiple ones. But if it was just the last fight, it actually shows you your DPS, which you already got down there. Here's the DPS, so it's the same as the number down here. This is the total damage. DPS is damage per second, so this is the total damage over the whole duration of the fight. But it shows you breakdown of which abilities did that damage. I was showing you dots, so I was just holding down heavy attack basically on my resto staff for a dot, and then I guess my enchant procced because I've got it in. So it'll tell you the damage of every individual thing that contributed to your damage in the fight. It's totally awesome. Most people use this actually. There's a new add-on out that you could take a look at. I think it's called Combat Analytics. I still like this. I just like the layout, and there's some information in that I just don't need to know. But it's a really good add-on. I may start using it, but for now, that gives you a nice, quick DPS summary, and it's integrated into the UI, so it doesn't have all the good thing about Foundry Tactical and AUI is they're modular, so you can use just the minimap from AUI and nothing else loaded. You can disable everything else. You can use just the DPS meter stuff from Foundry Tactical and not the combat text, not the frames. And that won't slow your performance down at all because none of it even loads. It's not really performance intensive anyway. But I mean, it isn't even in memory. The functions are not even preloaded if you've got the modules disabled. It just checks and says, is this enabled? Yes, load the code. No, don't load the code. And so the code isn't even loaded. So there's nothing actually taking up, and it's not checking for anything in the background. It's not adding anything to your scripting load. It's just totally modular. So that's why those add-ons are, pro, because the authors have taken into account, use needs like the ability to mix add-ons to get the best of each ones without having to have, like for example, I use Azura for my target bar because I can do really cool things with setting up the buffs that my target has, the alliance icons and all that stuff. If I ran into another player, you would see how cool it looks. It's in the screenshots on PhinixUI's page, but so I really like the way that I can lay out and so I use that for the target and for my bars. I can set up the bars for my resources to fade out when they're not full, or only show automatically when they're full, and fade out when they're full. Only show when they're not full, basically. If I've taken damage, my health will show. If I'm in combat, I can set them to always show all of them. So like now, even though I'm full, it will show all of them. But just really smooth, no percents, no anything, just the actual numbers. You can configure it to show the percent if you want, as opposed to the more sort of all-in-one solutions of Foundry Tactical, where it's like your nameplate is over here on the left in a totally different style in the game. The targets is over here on the right, totally different style. I do use the raid and party frames from Foundry Tactical because they really look good, funny enough. So if you look at the screenshots, that's what that looks like. But anyway, that's a general layout of some normal gameplay that you can expect when using this. So I hope that's helped you decide whether it's something you want to check out. You can also back up, as I put in the description, your saved variables folder before you run /PUI in game. And if you want to revert to what you had before, all you have to do is just copy that folder back and overwrite all of the saved variables. Because all PhinixUI is doing, it's not changing any add-ons, it's just automatically configuring all these add-ons individual settings for you. So if you want to revert it, you just copy the old settings back. It doesn't change any of the add-ons. So it's totally safe to check it out, see if you like it, and if not, then just copy your saved variables back and you're back to where you were. So I hope that this was informative. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below, and have fun.